How are you, Greg?
Oh, just great. Lovely day out there, isn't it?
Concord Food Co-op, ConcordFoodCoop.co-op. Good to have you back.
Oh, thank you.
So before we proceed into today's endeavor, tell me about the barbecue.
The Concord Coalition to End Homelessness' Bluegrass Barbecue this Sunday.
Say, that's why I just said barbecue. Okay, but I get that. Yeah,
that's great. The good news is, for our listeners, there's still availability for 20 more individuals. So we're keeping this very
that's great.
COVID-19 safe.
Thing I saw, there was 48 tickets left, so that's gone down.
So we're down to now it's a barbecue feast for two is primarily what individuals are picking up. So there's really only 10 more barbecue feasts for two that are available.
Oh, okay.
Great bands all day long, and so. We have tremendous social distancing protocol and safety all in place.
Yep, you're doing this as a takeout event, so you have to order ahead of time.
That's absolutely true, and so you need to reserve your arrival time, and individuals can space themselves out. It's in a park at Everett Arena.
Oh yeah, at the Everett Arena, there's plenty of room.
Plenty of room. What day?
This Sunday.
From 11
it's
happening.
to 4.
Sunday looks to be the pick of the litter for the weekend.
Partly sunny, 85. I mean, it's going to be summer. Perfect barbecue weather.
Yeah, no rain in the forecast. So perfect. So it's going great. Really looking forward to it.
And in this time where we're heading to a primary September 8th. Candidates are looking for stuff to go out to. So it's great. We've got, Dan Feltus is going to be working the barbecue 3 to 4.
Yeah, he's packaging
serving
meals.
up some meals, packaging meals. Andy Valinsky is going to stop by at noon to 2.
Yes, they're all working, helping as volunteers to help package the meals.
But it's great to get a chance to get in front of people.
Right.
It's awesome. And thank you for your help. Thank you for all your help. Everybody jump in.
You mean they're putting their interests ahead of others?
Imagine that.
Are you?
That's how we work
I'm shocked.
That's how we work it here in New Hampshire. It's good.
Wow.
And the Concord Coalition
You're going to be glad
Homelessness.
when this is in the rear view?
Oh, absolutely. Monday will be a wonderful thing. But the tickets are at concordhomeless.org. All the information, tickets, concordhomeless.org.
Great. This has been going on for a while.
Well, we had to rearrange it, and it was scheduled to take place at Canterbury Shaker Village, and everything got shut down and rearranged, and so we scrambled, and we definitely wanted to have this. We needed, the Concord Coalition to End Homelessness needs the funds, and so I think people are very anxious to get outside and support, the nonprofits that they've traditionally supported. But you just have to figure out how to do it without it. It couldn't be a virtual event. I didn't want to be
It's like okay,
it's barbecue. You got to eat the barbecue.
Yeah, I know, and you've got to serve the barbecue.
Right. When did you put the meat in?
The pulled pork was done last week because that was
smoked
an overnighter, and we set up Saturday morning at Everett Arena. He puts the all the brisk on at 4:00, and then it starts coming off at 11 the following day.
Oh my gosh,
so
that's so great.
Bill Wilcox spends the night there and will tend to his smoker all night long. It's a 25-foot smoker. It's just this massive machine that can feed all these people. So
you want one, don't you?
A smoker?
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time.
I don't know where he gets the energy. I couldn't do what he was doing.
Wow. Well, it's for the end product. That's why. Yeah. So discover the end product by going to concordhomeless.org.
Yeah, he'll be cooking up a lot of protein that day.
Here you go.
I was wondering how we were going to make the transition. Okay.
All right.
So what would you like to chat about today, and where did you get this topic?
I believe it was Cindy's topic.
Yeah.
Difference of protein products on your health.
Yeah, maybe we should have talked about this after the barbecue.
Well, no, maybe pre is good. Maybe pre is good. We'll see.
Dr. Cindi Croft, your first time here.
In the studio.
Yeah,
yes.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, good to have you here. Dr. Croft, a wellness-focused family physician, helps people improve their overall health and those with chronic disease by using functional and integrative medicine. Can be reached at drcindicroft.com. Okay, it's C-I-N-D-Y is your name, but you went C-I-N-D-I.
No, it's C-I-N-D-I.
Oh, it's C-I-N-D-I.
Yes,
Typo.
No why.
Typo.
No why. It's okay.
Okay.
Typo.
Thank you.
No problem.
I was going to say, why?
It's a common. It's not
Was
a
there
problem.
another Cindi Croft around and they wouldn't let you have it?
I
So protein's protein.
Yeah, so the reason why I thought this would be a good topic just to review is because this is often a conversation that I have with a lot of my patients. I do intensive nutritional evaluations on most patients that see me, whether it's for elite athletes or it's for cancer patients or if it's for just wellness overall, chronic disease. It's really looking at how the body individually makes energy and maximizing the body's ability to make energy. You need to have the proper building blocks. So when you eat, all foods are broken down to macronutrients,
Right.
which you might remember are proteins, fats, and carbs.
Yeah.
So then it comes down to the quality of the protein. And so there's a lot of different measures that look at quality of proteins, but basically the quality of a protein means how it's accessibly, how well it's absorbed in the body to utilize to make proteins in the body. So,
yeah, see, most people don't do that. They go, okay,
Right.
in this meal, I've got a starch, I've got a carb, and I've got a protein. Yay!
yeah,
That's pretty much it.
yeah. So I do a lot of educational discussion and counseling on food for people. And generally I aim for whole foods, locally organic whole foods. But, what I've found is that there's so much lack of education on what a protein is and where's the best source of a protein, why is it a best source of a protein, and this type of thing. And I see a lot of vegans and all sorts of different patients. And when I do the functional testing, a lot of people are just deficient. And so when you're looking at a protein, of course, start in infancy. The best protein for a baby is mother's milk.
Got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so after that, you've got animal source, you've got plant source, and then you have supplement sources. And depending on where you are, who you are, and what you're doing, a lot of over-the-counter supplemental protein powders are used. And they're all not this. No protein is the same.
Okay, but there's no such thing as a bad protein, right?
What I'd rather like to say is, rather than saying good or bad,
Okay.
is it really is
Beneficial or not beneficial?
Well, it's more just how the protein is packaged.
Okay.
So talking about the barbecue versus, if you take your protein and you avoid smoking it, heating it, frying it, processing it, adding salt and
That's
sugar,
all good,
all
right?
that stuff.
Okay.
Kind of
Work with me,
gross.
Cindy. Work with me, girl.
So
Okay,
beef,
so we'll go
beef
backwards.
jerky is not the good entree. Is that that's what we're saying here?
Yeah, so if we go backwards and we say,
You
okay.
invited her, right?
So,
Okay, I'm just checking.
I'm thinking next week would have been better.
exactly. I should have paid attention to this.
It's okay, we'll talk about the
yeah.
sides later.
So if we go backward after mother's milk, and then you want to start with, let's say, okay, animal proteins. The most digestible and bioavailable protein next in animal proteins is egg. And so there's all these different scores, and it's the protein digestibility corrected amino acid scores, generally the most widely used scoring method when you look at the research. So egg is the next. And then after that is dairy, and then other animal sources, poultry.
So there are better proteins than others.
As far as digestibility and
yeah, right.
utilization, now you can again take the egg, and there's newer research when people say, "Oh, eggs are horrible for you. Eggs are good for you." What is it? It's coming down to how you cook the egg.
Really?
Yeah.
And the fat. Remember, if you heat something, and this is a lot of stuff that I talk about too with patients, is what happens when you heat. We should do one on fats too, because people don't understand the difference of quality of fats.
Coffee's
but
okay, right? Sorry.
For now.
So,
I know.
so like for an egg, so if you heat the egg and you fry the egg, so if you're heating the egg, what's happening in heat in general? Heat denatures and breaks down things. You know that. That makes sense. So it's what's happening to your proteins.
Okay.
And so if you jump then from animals to them, another thing that people don't quite understand is that there's complete proteins and incomplete proteins. So proteins, again, is a macronutrient, but when you eat your protein, you break them down to amino acids, and the amino acids are what your body uses as the
Right.
building blocks to heal your tissues, to build new muscles,
Okay.
Things like that. If you wanted to maintain your lean body mass, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to gain weight, it all comes down to how readily available are those amino acids. So complete proteins are animal sources. Plant proteins are generally incomplete, although there are some plant proteins that are complete. Soy, hemp, and quinoa And then, but it's very important with plant proteins because there's so much fiber available in that is a digestibility and availability of sometimes of those proteins are lower.
Okay, let's go back to the egg. Scrambled egg or hard-boiled egg? Which would be better for me?
More beneficial protein.
Actually, more of an over-easy egg where the yolk is runny because you're less heating the fat.
Runny yolk. Okay.
So it's again more almost of a whole food.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're not harming the peptide
So like
bonds.
a hard-boiled egg, I'm really doing a number on it.
Unless you do it soft hard-boiled.
Soft-boiled.
Got it.
Yeah.
My mom used to do that.
Yeah.
And then after
toast.
animal proteins, if we can touch on the supplemental proteins, because this is what I'm asked a lot by different patients a lot too. So there's whey and casein. They both come from dairy.
Right.
Whey is more faster absorbed and utilized by the body to make and build proteins in the body.
That's WHEY, by the way.
Right,
Yeah,
and
whey.
it's what you see in your nutrition supplement section.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's different kinds of whey. So there's whey powder, whey concentrate, and whey isolate. And it's all based on how processed it is. So whey powder, if you have lactose problems, you don't want to go for that one because it's the highest content of lactose in the whey powder. Whey concentrate is more in milk fat, and then the whey isolate is it's much higher in the protein, 90+% protein, but it's also more denatured because it's more processed. So the more likely you're going to have those peptides bonds are broken and less bioavailable protein in the isolate. So that's a little confusing for people when they're looking at the powder solutions.
Right.
And then there's casein, and casein is more slowly absorbed by the body and slower absorbed. So again, depending on what your goal is with your protein powders. And then you have colostrum. I don't know if you've seen that on the market.
Right.
Colostrum, again, is that pre-milk
Right.
liquid.
Yeah.
And it has its utility. It has supposedly some growth factors in there besides other nutrients. And then there's the textured protein, which generally is soy-based. And that's a whole other conversation with soy. And so that's
So is there a difference? I can't wait for that pulled pork, by the way. Is there a difference between, in theory, he and I are healthy. Okay.
In theory.
Oh yeah, I know. But the way, the proteins we consume and the way in which we consume them would be different than somebody who might have cancer or somebody who is ill. Is there a difference between?
Yeah.
Okay, there is.
So part of it is just the aging process too. The stomach and digestibility. You need your stomach is an acidic environment, so you have things called enzymes that help break down your food.
Right.
And some people just have a as you age, that ability to break things down is less. So sometimes what you're reading on the package as far as how much protein you might be getting, you really might not be getting that amount. But in general, it's better as for most people to eat more of a varied vegetables and varied proteins in your diet.
Nice.
To get the whole
Makes sense.
array of those amino
As
acids.
opposed to just hanging with one thing.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So I would love to ask a question. This is Julieann here.
Hey, wait a minute. Wait, did you bring back Vermont yet?
No. I do not have Vermont. I have told you from day one, I do not have Vermont.
All right, fine. All right.
Stop putting Vermont on me.
Julieann Hartley, a local music therapist, nutritional therapist, back with us, and she released a new album called Miss Julieann, Therapeutic Songs for Kids. You can go to MissJulieann.com. Okay, now you can...
So I got a question here.
Okay,
for the doc over here. So I've also, there's a lot of talk about organ meats versus just muscle meats within an animal and how they have different amino acid kind of makeups and how, just eating animal muscle meat may not be that great. You really need to get the variety of organ meat with the animal muscle meat to kind of balance out the amino acid profiles to potentially make it a healthier balance. What I'd love to hear, what your view on that is in terms of the kind of amino acid breakdown.
Cindi?
Well, Animal meats in general are what we call complete proteins. So all animal products do have complete spectrum of all the amino acids that the body needs. As far as breaking it down to different organs, I am not a big organ eater just because I know the function of those organs. So,
yeah, but it tastes good on the plate. It's gross when you know what it did.
With onions, yeah.
You have to separate those two.
So, the liver does first-class metabolism and all this kind of stuff.
I know, but chicken liver and onions, oh my God.
As far as I go, if I focus again, it goes on the protein package for me.
Right.
And animal proteins, I go for, again, the higher, let's take fish, for instance. If you're going to eat fish in my camp, you may as well, if you're going to expose yourself to everything in the ocean these days with nanoparticles of of plastics, etc. I go for the heavier, fattier fish. You're going to get your amino acids along with your DHA and EPA, which are all the omega-3 fats that are worthwhile.
Right.
So the sardine, salmon, mackerel, herring, as far as fish go, and then as far as you get down to the red meats. I like local organic bison. It's lean. It's indigenous to our country, and it's a healthier red meat.
Yeah,
So,
and it's wonderful.
And see, for me,
It really is.
I go to New Mexico to try to get elk.
Yes,
And I go
wild
elk hunting.
Caught, you're a hunter,
and
that's
when I bring it home, know where my meat came from.
Exactly.
Low in cholesterol, high in protein, a free range. Yay.
Yes,
Win, win, win.
I completely agree.
And I eat that as opposed to beef and other stuff during the year.
And hunting is a different story because you're getting into the whole theory of the animal being able to do its life and eating, and if you're a good marksman, it's done, and it's not some animal grown. And
well, I usually find out the animal's a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, this is what they do for a living.
Yes,
it's like person, bye, boom.
And,
so
right, and they're eating nature, and
absolutely.
not
Absolutely.
in a stockyard. So, but that's how I look at animal proteins. Not so much saying, you need to eat the liver, you need to eat the heart, you need to eat the kidney. Animal sources are all complete proteins, and then you look at the package of the
what about
the animal.
when you talked about fish?
Yep.
I love the bottom feeders.
No.
Clams, scallops, and lobster. Okay, so where does that put me?
I would educate you if you're going to expose yourself.
Yep.
Then go for the higher omega-3 rich, fattier fish, and that's what you should eat.
But we don't know this stuff,
Yeah,
so
right. That's why
okay.
It's a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and I know there are people going, I like clams and scallops, and okay, but I call them the bottom feeders. So figure out that's the stuff that perks down. That's good.
And a lot of people just eat the white fish, and
right.
So, but this is part of the nutritional eval that I do, and it'll show you your fat spectrum. And most Americans are very low on omega-3s.
Yeah, I don't mind. Does the supplement? Do the supplements help?
Of course.
Okay, but I mean, will that compensate for what we're shorting ourselves?
It can, sure.
Okay.
You have to. That's a different conversation.
Which are available, by the way, at Concord Food Co-op.
Yeah. And what about freshwater fish?
The deep ocean freshwater fish. So
but I mean, getting a salmon out of Lake Winnipesaukee.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Or trout.
Okay.
Salmon. Yep.
Okay. So salmon.
And trout.
Except, if you're splitting hairs, I'd rather go with the fresh stuff over farmed.
Oh God, yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah, there's a difference in taste with a farm raised fish as opposed to. I want the wild stuff.
Yes.
So that makes sense.
Wild is just healthier.
Wow. Time got away from us.
Yeah, it did.
Whoa.
No, because we're entrenched.
Yeah,
that's why.
Hey, by the way, Julieann.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're the best.
Yeah, well, all right. Hang on. We got to take a break. We'll be back with more right after this. Julieann Hartley, over there. Say hi.
Hey.
There you go. Dr. Cindi Croft in the studio with us, and Greg from the Concord Food Co-op in with us. And before we get wrapped up with Cindi and Julieann.
Oh, I did want to remind folks after listening to the show that vegan, vegetarian options are also available at the Bluegrass Barbecue.
Are you in a shame spiral now, Cindi?
There we go.
Well, I think she wants to say everything in moderation,
Which is fine. And we're talking about the ideal lifestyle, that's all.
When you talk to people as a wellness-focused family physician, and you explain this to people, do they go, "Oh, I never knew that"?
Yeah.
Okay. But it makes sense when you
people.
break it down and explain it to them.
Yes.
And then they would modify their diets accordingly.
Exactly.
But you got to kind of
they get
you got to get some info on your nutrition, though, on what's going in.
Well, I did want to say this show is being videoed, and it will be on Facebook, Co-op's Facebook page next week,
Right.
your NH1
Absolutely.
and Concord TV. The reason I
Thank
say
you
that,
to Tim for
Our
recording
TPL.
this.
Yes.
the reason I
filming.
say that is, there's so much information. It's like I have to hear this thing again,
I know.
to really understand everything that you said. But what else would you offer as advice to come up to speed with our protein products?
I guess just focusing on varied proteins, whole foods, and keeping food more simple, less processed. And if you want to get more of a varied vegetable exposure, aiming for 30 different vegetables in a week's time, and incorporating lean, local meats, wild caught.
There you go.
Animal sources.
You're on board with
It's
that,
the
right,
best
Julieann?
fit.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Get those crickets.
There you go. There's protein there.
Yeah, well, you can eat them. Grasshoppers, too, I guess.
Oh
but-
yeah, the Co-op sometimes has cricket powder, and sometimes I throw it into my, like if I'm making like muffins for someone, and then I'll be like, "There's cricket in there." And it's always fun.
Is that just to get them to eat the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You're on board with the whole reduce and if possible, do
Oh,
nothing.
yeah, I mean, obviously
prepackaged
the
foods.
The least processed, the better. I mean,
There you go.
when we take anything in isolation, we lose everything else, all the other chemicals that help us absorb those nutrients. So when we eat the whole food of something, it comes along in this perfectly absorbable package, usually, with all these other nutrients.
If you're in the mood for real food, it's Concord Food Co-op.